But our top focus today, a deeply disturbing story from the National Capital Region that really could come from any part of the country. As the private hospital sector is expanding, there are growing concerns over the fees that are being charged at times, which some say are exploitative. The latest case involves the parents of a 7-year-old girl who died of dengue at Gurugram's Fortis hospital. They were billed close to 16 lakh rupees for her dengue treatment. Adya's parents say they are shocked to see that they have been billed for 660 syringes, 1,500 gloves, and were even charged for the hospital clothes that their daughter, who tragically died, was wearing. The hospital in question, Fortis, denies the charges, saying they provided the best possible facilities to the little infant. Shalini Lobo gets you the full story with both sides.
I asked the doctor the reason why it's happening and what has happened to her. So doctor's response was like at times it takes more time.
दवा उसकी जैसे सिगरेट बंद की गई, उसके बाद भी उनका एक ही जवाब था कि कुछ अच्छा नहीं हो रहा है as per improvement, लेकिन कुछ बुरा भी नहीं हो रहा है उसके साथ. एंड ये लाइन मैंने 12 दिन सुनी उनके.
Seven-year-old Adya Singh was an active, fun-loving child. She and her twin sister Adya were always running around the house, playing games. On 28th August, Adya was admitted to Rockland Hospital in Dwarka, where she was diagnosed with dengue. From there, she was referred ahead to Fortis, Gurugram. On 15th September, Adya died from dengue shock syndrome. Those 15 days in the Fortis led to a bill of a whopping 15,60,000 rupees. Consultation charges for a dietitian of 3,000 rupees. Consultation charges for a doctor to check Adya's eyes at 13,200 rupees. Two different variants of the same medicine were pumped into the little girl's body. One costs about 2,000 to 3,000 rupees per vial, whereas the other costs around 500 rupees. Sugar strips, which were priced at 13 rupees per strip, were allegedly charged at 200 rupees. Over 1,500 gloves and 660 syringes were added to the bill. A thermometer and even the hospital gown Adya was dressed in was charged from the family.
7-year-old Adya Singh lost her life to dengue in Gurugram. Now what we know is, after talking to Fortis, the hospital was quiet, saying that we have our best legal team working on this case and we will inform you when we release a press statement. However, Adya Singh's family and friends have taken to social media with tweets and Facebook posts that have gone viral. Her father has even written a post on Facebook where he says that we were told to take Adya home. We were asked to take her home for where the ventilator would be removed, and this we found out was because the hospital did not want to take cognizance of a dengue death under their watch. They did not want that label of a death under their watch.
When I consulted a doctor on 12th, they said we will do it tomorrow. And 13th also they gave the same excuse, the BP is not under control and they can't do it. So finally on 14th they did the MRI and they said that his brain is 70-80% affected.
When Jayant and Deepthi decided to discharge Adya, the hospital refused to give her a discharge letter, as they said the family was taking her against their medical advice. They were not even provided an ambulance.
Even though my baby died in their premises in front of their doctor, they didn't issue me a death certificate. And I asked them that can I bring her back into emergency and get the death certificate. Said no, under Lama to take her to another hospital.
Fortis, however, has released a press statement denying claims, saying that they have reached out to the family and have given them a 20-page bill with the breakup. Moreover, they stated that the treatment was required as the patient was highly critical. The story has created an uproar on social media sites, and many have also sent out tweets in favor of the family. Union Health Minister JP Nadda has also taken cognizance of the matter and has reached out to the family.
मुझे इसके बारे में जानकारी मिली है और मैंने इसकी डिटेल रिपोर्ट मंगवाई है
साथ ही मैंने ये कहा है सेक्रेटरी से कि नेसेसरी एक्शन लिया जाए और जो डिटेल रिपोर्ट आने के पश्चात हम नेसेसरी एक्शन लेंगे.
But the big question remains, have hospitals now been reduced to money-making machines? With Shalini Lobo for India Today, Bureau Report.
Let me go to my first guest tonight. Jayant Singh is Adya's father. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. I know it's been a difficult time for you and your family. I want you to start with the question, though, because the hospital in a statement has very clearly said they made every effort to save your daughter. Do you accept that at least the hospital made every effort, as they claim, to save your little daughter?
So my only response is like, were they making the right effort to save her, or was she gone much before, or were their effort was just like to make money? Like after her sedative was stopped on 3rd and she didn't regain consciousness for 3 days, why they still persisted with the treatment? They didn't go for a MRI scan or a brain test to diagnose if her brain is functional or not. Why did they delay it even after my repeated request to check the brain?
You know, so your principal concern, from what I see, is not the fact that there is lack of effort on part of the hospital, but you believe they behaved like a commercial agency. What worries you, you are claiming they exploited you commercially. Am I correct?
Yeah. So one thing is, like, all of you are aware that these hospitals, they give targets to doctors. So were they were trying to meet their targets, or they were really helping the cause? Was my baby long dead and they were just pumping her heart for the commercial behavior to benefits? That is my question. That is my concern. Because the way they treated me after I said that on their session, when I said, okay, I will take my daughter back on Lama, the way they changed, the behavior changed. It took me 8 long hours to get the bills done. I had to pay. Then after the billing was done, they asked me to pay for the gown she was wearing because the clothes were not fitting her. They asked me to go back and pay that 900, then they will discharge the baby. Then they asked for even for the bed sheet in which she was wrapped.
I can understand your concern, your agony in a way, but I want to understand also this, that you obviously were determined to try and do anything that you could to save your child, as any parent would. And you took her to Fortis, a private hospital, which you know will be a little bit more expensive or much more expensive than a government hospital would be. So you knew in a sense that you were going to, in a sense, have to cough up a fairly large bill.
Yeah, definitely. I knew that they are expensive private hospital, but the point is, like, they should not misguide people in terms of, like, when I was requesting them to do a MRI or a brain test to see her brain status, even after 3 days, 4 days, after 10 days, they conducted that brain test after my repeated request. So were they doing the right thing is my question. Why did they delay that? And their suggestion, one side they are saying, let the baby rest in peace, her brain is 70-80% dead. And on the other side, what they are saying is, we can do a full body plasma transplant. So are these two things not contradictory to each other? The same doctor is telling me that take your baby back, she has suffered a lot, let her rest in peace. And on the other side, the doctor, after an hour or so, he's suggesting me we can do a full body plasma transplant.
But how will you react to those who will to the claim being made by the hospital that your daughter came to the hospital in a critical condition and they did what they could? The doctors can only do so much. That very often families, they say, don't realize just how critical the patient is. They claim your daughter came to the hospital in a very critical stage, suffering from a terrible condition of dengue where her platelet count had reached a critical stage.
So if she was like, I'm not doubting that she was not like her condition was bad. I definitely agree to that. But what happened to her? Like on 1st she was put on ventilator. On 3rd they stopped the sedative. She didn't regain consciousness in the next 48 hours or 72 hours. Was she not? Her brain was affected at that time. Why didn't they test the brain at that time?
Okay, I can understand what you're going through. You believe clearly that the hospital commercially exploited you. 16 lakhs bill, including you're saying for the clothes, the bed sheets which your daughter was sleeping on. You were charged for all of that. I appreciate your joining us at the top of news today. And I want to raise big questions because this could happen really to anyone in a private hospital. Did Fortis Hospital commercially exploit Adya's family? Is exploitation by private hospitals, particularly the setting of targets for doctors, rampant? Should governments be regulating hospital charges? How can advanced health care be provided at cheaper rates? These are just some of the questions we want to raise tonight. Joining me now, Dr. K.K. Agarwal is the National President of the Indian Medical Association. I'm joined by Dr. Narottam Puri, Advisor Fortis Healthcare, and Dr. Kunal Saha, President People for Better Treatment, who's been running a campaign on healthcare issues. But I want to come to you, Dr. Narottam Puri, to get the other side. You've heard the family speak today, and they claim they were commercially exploited till the very last moment. Even the bed sheets and the clothes which little Adya was wearing and sleeping on were charged for. The final bill turning out to be 16 lakhs, including 661 syringes, 2,700 gloves, among other things. How will you justify the use of 661 syringes and 2,700 gloves for a fever like dengue? Did the hospital overcharge this family, sir?
Rajdeep, thanks first of all for having me on your show. I first of all want to send all my condolences to the parents of this child. I just want to assure you and everyone else that the intention of every doctor in this country and every hospital in this country is to see that our patients go back home safe. No hospital, no doctor wants that particularly a child should die. But you've got to understand that when you have dengue shock syndrome, which usually affects children more than adults, and Dr. K.K. Agarwal, who's a leading physician, can vouch for that, it's a very, very dangerous condition. Please imagine that if this was not such a bad thing, why wouldn't the treatment continue in Rockland Hospital, which is a well-known hospital? They referred it to Fortis Gurugram because that has pediatric and neonatal ICU and the highest standards of equipment, highest standards of doctors who are rare to find because neonatal critical care people are very rare in this country, and we have amongst the best in the nation working out of there, and specialized nurses. As regards whether MRI should be done at X day or Y day, that is to be decided by the clinical condition of the patient, and that's best left to the neonatal intensivist or the pediatric intensivist to decide. I'm only requesting one thing through this. Let this not become an issue about the number of gloves. First of all, this number is wrong, but I don't want to get into that. We should be focusing our attention on the return of dengue and what is being done to treat dengue and dengue syndromes. This is a very serious matter. Unfortunately, both you and me in media as well as the public have forgotten the dengue part because of the air pollution in Delhi.
Sir, Dr. Puri, Dr. Puri, Dr. Puri, I'm happy to come back to the part, but I want to, since this has become such a major controversy where now even an inquiry has been ordered by the health minister, I just want to understand this. Is it routine for a hospital in a case like this to bill 16 lakhs for a 15-day stay that would include charging the individual for bed sheets, for the clothes worn by the patient? Is that normal? Do you believe this was exploitative in some way because the parents had no choice? They were desperate enough to accept whatever the hospital told them.
First of all, Rajdeep, let me just clarify. The hospital would not gain by having a patient stay longer. Hospitals actually would earn much more money if there is greater rotation of beds. The average length of stay, ALOS as we call it, should be lesser. That's when hospitals make more money. Secondly, nobody is that heartless that one would like to charge a patient unnecessarily. Yes, it is pretty routine in private hospitals where such advanced treatment such as CRRT, which is a renal replacement therapy a little higher than dialysis, is also being given to a child Plasma transfusions are being given, blood transfusions are being given, tests are being done round the clock, monitoring is 24 hours. It is not unusual to have a price of 50,000 to 1 lakh in a patient who's right from the beginning been in the pediatric ICU. Dr. Agarwal can tell you a little more about this, but this is pretty routine. Now the question is that it hurts us because it hurts our pocket. We have a problem because we don't usually get enough insurance, and when it hurts us, our pocket, there is a problem. And I think this is a problem which is much larger than just this case, and this is not the right forum for me to go into why we need more medical insurance or why the government needs to spend more money rather than the 1.5% of GDP. And as regards the transparency of this case, 4 doctors from the civil surgeon's office in Gurugram have already visited the hospital. We've shown them the records and they've taken whatever papers that they wanted to take. We've already written to the health minister, Mr. Nadda, and we are prepared for a transparent inquiry. But please do not judge before actually seeing the case records.
No, I
can
haven't
understand
judged.
The angst, the anger, the frustration of the parents. I am a parent too. So are you, and we can all feel that. But please, for God's sake, let's not just dump everything, that everything is wrong with private healthcare. 75% of healthcare in this country is provided by private players. Let's not just say everybody is a cheat.
Nobody say everyone is a cheat, doctor.
One case goes bad. 95% of the people go back home cured.
No one is saying they are cheats, but there is a fear of targets.
My worry is
there is the worry that many experts have expressed is this pressure on achieving targets. Doctors are under pressure to achieve targets. I want to take that to Dr. Kunal Saha, President People for Better Treatment. You're hearing Dr. Narottam Puri saying, don't spread the news that every doctor is a cheat. 75% of patients are coming to private healthcare. Many of them are being treated successfully. Do you believe that in such cases there is a tendency to exaggerate, there is a tendency to hype such issues because private hospitals in a way are under the scanner at the moment? Or do you believe there is something intrinsically wrong in this system of trying to achieve targets every month?
Look, I don't have to believe anything, but people of India are well aware what is happening. This is the case which is wrong in so many fronts, okay? But one thing I must say, nobody should be stunned what happened today, because it is happening every day. It's one day story today, but tomorrow another child, another person will die in a similar way. The root cause of this is that there are no checks and balances in Indian healthcare system today. With due respect to the minister, Honorable Health Minister, he ordered there will be an inquiry. But be honest, we all know what will be the result of that inquiry. Will the Fortis be shut down? Will the doctor lose his license? Nothing will happen like this, because Indian people have seen hundreds of similar deaths, hundreds of similar inquiries in the past, and they will continue to see similar things in future.
Can we hold the doctors guilty without even going through a proper process? Dr. Agarwal of the Indian Medical Association is also joining me. Dr. Agarwal, this is a case which has now been amplified because of the manner in which the parents have come out. Do you believe that there is an overreaction, or do you believe there is something seriously wrong with the system? I come back to it, which is setting these targets that doctors privately sometimes say does put pressure on them in very sensitive cases.
I only have to say one thing, that something needs to be done in the system. More communication needs to be done with the patient. Every day, when we are sending an SMS to the patient, that is your bill, and if the patient is not paying and not clearing your bill, we need to have a meeting with the patient. that meeting needs to be created. Whenever the bills are on a higher side, there should be a financial audit by the hospital, and hospital should be able to satisfy. It's our duty also to satisfy the relations. Therefore, that communication between the patient and the management should increase more.
Should that be a daily communication,
doctor?
Doctor?
Will say we were not told, we were not put into
should
the
that
position
be a, exactly, Doctor?
System.
Sorry to intervene. Should that be a daily communication that if my child is, Doctor, if my child is in the hospital for 16 days, should I be told every evening what is my bill? Should I not be given that information so I know exactly when I'm going in for a particular treatment how much it is going to cost me, rather than at the end of 16 days lump me with a 15 lakh bill?
No. No. In this case also, a SMS has been sent, as I've been told, every day. It is the duty of the hospital to communicate daily billing charges. That's the norm. I don't have to go into details of that. I am talking about it, communication about the patient's condition. That also have to be communicated morning and evening. Whenever you go for a visiting hours, you need to sign that I have understood my last 12 hours treatment, and that also includes counseling for your financial charges. That's a routine. I don't think so that Fortis was not doing that. And if Fortis was not doing that, it's a mistake. If Fortis was not informing them by an SMS, what are your bills, and they were not briefing them, it's a mistake. I don't think so a hospital like Fortis would do that. Our job, a hospital job, is to communicate, to explain them about the charges. Now, this case is not an emergency case. He is transferred from Rockland to Fortis. Therefore, the people are aware about the charges, number one. Number two is very important, now the debate is affordable health care. It's a moral duty of a private hospital that if a patient reaches there and a patient cannot afford, to guide them what to do, where to go. And it becomes a responsibility of the hospital to transfer the patient to a facility where they can afford. But I don't think so that any private hospital will take the responsibility of treating all patients who cannot afford and only run a charity for them. I don't think so it will be possible, and IMA will not recommend that.
Absolutely. No, but the worry is, Dr. Puri in particular, the worry is that the family in this instance alleges that they were charged, as I said earlier, for 1,600 gloves, 660 syringes, high-end antibiotics, sugar strips, which I'm not sure were even used. It seems that there was some kind of a communication gap. Could that have been a possibility? And I come back to it. What is the accountability of the hospital when it comes to ensuring that this communication is maintained at all times with the patient? What should I as a patient be demanding of a private hospital?
I think Dr. Agarwal is absolutely right. And Rajdeep, the important thing in this particular case is that an SMS was sent. I'm sure that the father of the child will agree with that he received these SMSs. And also, the details of every day's bill are available on the computer for the patient to see. Now, in this particular case, it's not unusual, as I said, to have that much number of gloves used, but this number is wrong. Actually, approximately 30 sterile gloves were used per day, and approximately 50 unsterile gloves were used. Now, the problem, Rajdeep, is that if we do, we are damned. If we don't do, we are damned. If an infection occurs because you didn't use the gloves, then you can be sued. If you used the gloves and they cost something, then you say, why are you using them? In this particular case, suppose this child had survived and gone home, I don't think this would have been a problem. Please remember, this is a 2-month-old case. For 1.5 months, for 15 days the child was in the hospital, and 1.5 months ago this episode occurred. I absolutely agree that as a patient, I also deserve to know what am I going to pay, because the important thing is that in our particular incidents where this sort of a case has happened, the bill is bound to be a little longer or larger than maybe I can afford. Because my insurance, in this particular case, the insurance paid approximately 5 lakhs, some amount of concession was given by the hospital, but the patient had to pay about 10 lakhs out of the pocket. And then the outcome was not good. If the outcome was better, I don't think this case would have been discussed today.
That's an interesting point. The outcome was better, we would not be discussing the case. Dr. Saha, let me ask you that. At the end of the day, is the entire issue of medical negligence sometimes unfair to the medical profession, that if someone comes in a critical stage and unfortunately dies, the doctor is blamed. The doctor, in a sense, becomes a victim of the fact that I cannot accept the fact that my near and dear ones have passed away in the hospital. Is the doctor damned if you do, damned if you don't, as Dr. Puri seems to be suggesting?
Yes, yes. Okay, I totally agree that this is a case. The doctor was not really, we heard the father of this unfortunate child, and he did not blame the medical negligence as much as he appeared to blame the ethical part. He said, the father that is, who said that he was kept waiting 8 hours to obtain the bail of the death certificate. So that's not a medical negligence case. That's ethical violation. Are these doctors not have the decency to treat a father who is suffering, his daughter is dying, to treat them with humanity? Or do they not have the courtesy to say, okay, he can pay later, but let's treat him as a human being?
Make a very important point.
This is
I think you make a very important point, Dr. Agarwal. It's the lack of sensitivity. Someone has lost their little child. They expect a greater sensitivity. This is where private hospitals are coming under the scanner. In their obsession with perhaps being seen at bottom lines, do they lack the sensitivity that is required? If I'm made to wait for 8 hours till my billing is done and I'm then kept waiting there, is that a problem or not?
No. No, I want to talk about on two issues. First,
no, I want you to talk on this. Yes. I want to focus. I'm running out of time, but I want you to answer this. Is there a lack of sensitivity? Is there a lack of sensitivity?
No, there is communication gap. It's a communication gap, it's a system failure. I cannot say hospital do like that. It might have happened in a particular case as a system failure. For that, I just want to say something, because every channel is talking about two medical aspects. That MRI can detect brain death, no. MRI can say 70% brain death, no. Plasmapheresis is a procedure which can be tried as a last resort. So let's not talk about in every channel about the merit of a case. Let it be decided by the inquiry committee.
I'm not going into the merits.
Let the message not go to the people that MRI can detect brain death. Otherwise, what will happen is every day people will start asking, do an MRI, which is unnecessary.
Okay. I am asking about what I believe is the crux of the issue at times for parents or anyone who comes with a critical patient to hospital, the need perhaps for greater sensitivity. Let me leave it there, because clearly this case has raised some troubling questions, some of which maybe have been answered in the course of this half hour. Thank you very much to my guests for joining me. My take: medical negligence remains a complex issue, one where there is a tendency at times to jump the gun and blame the doctor or hospital in each instance. In this specific case, it would be unfair to target the hospital without every fact being put out in the public domain. What is true, though, is that private hospitals are seen to have pushed their doctors to achieve business targets, which can lead at times to commercial goals superseding public interest. The medical profession is a noble one. Its nobility based on a commitment to the patient at all times. Greater transparency in all procedures is an imperative, else there will be many more such cases where patients and their families may feel shortchanged. Let me take a break. On the other side, I'll be joined by my newsmaker tonight, the articulate and upfront.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.